Well, hi, it is May, and this is Wisdoms, and you know who we are. I'm Lynette, and this is Cameron, and guess what? We're actually at Cameron's home, so it's a bit of a treat for me, and I think you're going to enjoy it. Cameron, hi.
How are you?
Good, lovely to get the invite. Thank you. We've even got Frankie, the little in-house, what is it, a wee spoodle or?
I think it's a miniature poodle, I can't quite remember. He's about 15 years old now.
He's 15 and he's joining us. He's having a sleep. We've already bored him to tears. He's having a wee sleep. But look, we're going to just let you know what's been happening for us because there's been an awful lot. And then we've had some great questions. So Cam, what are we going to talk about? Should we talk about March, April or May? You choose.
Maybe a bit of everything. Okay. I always like to do a market update.
You do?
So, like my feel on the market at the moment is that we've been reasonably busy. I actually had a really big March, actually the biggest March I've had in all of real estate ever, which is really good. But we worked really hard for it. So like I said last time, I think the sales are there at the moment, but there's a lot more skill involved in getting them across the line. But I feel that prices at the moment are still coming back. It's a definite buyer's market. And there's an oversupply stock. And
we both know that, don't we? Because we both had property on the market, and as vendors, we've felt that. You know, nobody's immune from it.
Well, all the buyers know.
Yeah, so they do. And isn't it true that they know it first?
Yeah, I mean, there's a great saying that when the market changes, the first people to feel it are the buyers. The second people to feel it are the sellers. The third people are the agents, because the agents are trying to hold everybody's price up. So, it's a great market actually. I call it a market of honesty.
You do.
The work's there. It's certainly not doom and gloom. But you've got to get prices right. And I'm seeing little capital gain probably in the next 18 months. I think it's going to be pretty much what it is now, but there's nothing wrong with that. But I tell you what, it makes a huge difference who you sell your house with. Because if you're saying the wrong things to buyers at the moment, it might sell, but you might sell for not a really good price. There's premiums out there still, but you've just got to make sure that everything's right, the marketing's right, the presentation's right, the agent's right. All of that sort of stuff makes a massive difference, more so than usual. I mean,
you've just alluded to that, haven't you? Because you've said in a changing market, the last people to actually come to that realisation are the consultants, and that's why you need someone with their finger on the pulse, who actually knows how to respond and delivers that message in a way that an owner can actually understand it. So backed up by stats, not just a whole lot of waffle. I really like that when I've seen you with owners and auction rooms and at review meetings and at listings, and you're always able to give them the facts in a way that's really approachable. I think that's a great skill.
I think a lot of agents out there are still telling people, I think the majority of agents, to be honest, are telling people what they want to hear, rather than what they need to know. And I mean, I've taken great pride in trying to tell people what I think they need to know and what's the best advice for them, even if it's not what they want to hear. And I lose listings because of that, because I tell them it's worth this figure and someone else tells them it's worth a lot more, and they list with that person and then they have an awful experience because they're trying to get a figure that's not there, and they end up selling it onto the second or third agent down the track, and they get less money than if they maybe got it right from day one. So there's a lot of mistakes being made at the moment.
So tell us about those. What sort of mistakes are you seeing?
Well, I think over pitching the property, using the wrong process. I've seen a few deadline sales creep into the market at the moment. Whereas there's a tendency for sellers to think that auctions aren't working because our clearance rates drop down. So on a good day, on a good week in the office, we're getting 50%, but some days we're getting less than that. And across the year, we'll still be tracking around that 50%, I'm sure. But
or even more, Cam, because we have kind of a beautiful kind of tidy up process that happens within the next 48 hours usually. So it's really, we can get those properties away.
So I think that a lot of people going into a deadline sale rather than auction because they're just not brave. And I've also got a lot of people that are taking their houses off the market and thinking that the market will improve in spring or in summer.
Yeah.
And hey, that's a punt at the end of the day, and I could be wrong as well, but I'm not seeing any growth out there until maybe 18 months into 2026, something like that. There's so many factors out there, like interest rates have come down, but essentially
cost of living's still bloody hard work,
up,
isn't it?
Rates have gone up, insurance has gone up. So even though interest rates have come down, we're in no better position. There's a lot of people hurting out there.
And a lot of people transitioning. Cam, we're noticing, people, you've talked about it in other wisdom sessions, people taking money, wanting to take some money off the table, wanting to say, look, I want to sell my house and I want to have a little bit more for my retirement, and I'm going to get a smaller house. I need to find they don't sell for what they want to, and a smaller house costs a bit more, and there's a bit of pressure in there.
I think this is a wonderful opportunity in the market to reposition yourself. And I think that look at your portfolio, and I've seen a lot of people do that, and they might be selling, like I met some people the other day, they're selling a $2.3 million home, they're going to go and buy a $1.7 million home, not because they need to downsize financially, but they actually see better value for them going out to spend the extra $500,000 on an investment property, because they're saying to me, well, look, we're going to live in a $1.7 million house, much the same as our 2.2 one, and we're going to put $500,000 into an investment property in the bottom cycle of the market. So hopefully there's some growth in the next few years. So that, to me, is a really wise thing to do. And maybe that's COVID, because people sort of, had their incomes cut temporarily and mortgages were still expected to be paid. Maybe they thought, hey, I've got all my eggs in one basket here. It's probably not the smartest thing. So I think a lot of people are repositioning themselves.
I mean, would it be fair to say that if somebody wanted to look at property from that perspective, that building portfolios or tidying them up, call you?
I think so.
I agree. I mean, we talk about those sort of things all the time because we're both doing that, making sure that we've got our properties
the other thing
really well aligned.
The other mistakes I see is people listening to people that don't really know what they're talking about.
I know. I always say to people when they're trying to give investment advice, I sort of say, well, how many investment properties do you have? And, they might say, well, one or none, or I'm going to start. And I think, well, you are not giving me advice.
You've got to be really careful who you're listening to, because everyone's a property expert and everyone's telling you what to do, and all they do sometimes is advise you not to sell and you become stuck. We listen to the right people, because the best people out there cut and run, and move on to the next opportunity, the next project. I remember years ago I was with a guy, Stephen Collins, and he was a prolific property investor and developer and all that, and a beautiful mentor. He started up Harcourts actually, and I remember selling a block of flats for him on Aitken's Road. I said, which was a beautiful, beautiful property underpinned by land, and I said to Stephen, why are you selling this? And he said, Cam, real estate's a bit like what Kenny Rogers sings about. You've got to know when to hold them and when to fold them.
And he was folding those ones.
And he was folding those ones
to
because
take the money
he'd made his money and he was going to use it somewhere else. And, in the long run, he would have been far better off. So you've got to know when to hold them and when to fold them, but listen to the right people. Like ask your agent, what experience do they have in buying their own investment properties or commercial properties? Make sure you listen to the right people, because so many people get advice from the wrong people.
I mean, I think I can't underline that more. Like, if you want to talk to people who have got residential portfolios, significant ones, commercial property, they've done, most everything and done it very well. And I think talk to you, talk to me, talk to people that have, are in that space. So I think that's cool. So March, you had a fantastic March. I mean, we've just had our awards, so congratulations, Cam.
Thank you.
The #1 in our fair city and in our beautiful company. What did April look like? Because we came out of a big busy May. April was full of holidays and all sorts of long weekends and lots of kind of things that interrupt the flow when you're working so heavily. What did it look like for you?
I think April was a lot slower, a lot harder, felt like more of a grind. Office numbers, we'd still done quite a lot of sales, but really you could feel it slowing into that winter season as well. And I think we're going to feel a real winter this year. In saying that could be a wonderful time to sell, because there may not be as much stock
competition
out there. So you might be able to grab that. Then I think spring again, there'll be more properties coming on the market, and then it'll be much the same as what we've had in summer. But look, I just don't think it's going to change. I think that, I think that the prices will be what they are, and you're just going to work hard for sales.
Totally. So
what do you think's happening?
Okay, well, I think there's an awful lot happening. I'm going to talk in a minute, as I know you want to, about Tony Alexander, but I've just finished company business planning, which is enormous. So 3 sessions for our consultant team, a session for our new people that have just joined us within the last year, and then 6 office sessions. So I'm bloody knackered, kid. I'm going home thinking, jeepers, but very excited about the year ahead because we've got a wonderful leadership team and we're very strong. We've got a very strong directive. Our company isn't so large that we can't pivot. And we do that very well. So because we've got coal-face leadership, we're able to sort of turn when we think that we need to. So I've spent a lot of time on that. And you, of course, attended quite a few of those, both at our company level to support our managers and our leadership team and bring that unique perspective that you have, and also our consultants. So, people think that someone like you would think, I've got nothing to learn, but you're there in the front row, the keenest, sharing what you know, and also, supporting the process. So that's been fantastic.
I love business planning the month because I think that there is so much to learn, and some old dog like me who's a bit like the Titanic, I'm really hard to change, really hard to move. I get excited talking to some of the new guys because they do a lot of the stuff so much different and maybe better than me, particularly social media or some new marketing ideas or some boosting,
or some AI references, all of those sorts of things. Demographic, some of the demographic stuff that they do.
But even scripts and dialogues and how they handle stuff. I think it's about soaking up what someone else says, and maybe I hear something and maybe I can add my flavour to it and come up with something that's even better. So all my team, we're in the same business planning session, and we've got a mixture of people in with us, haven't we? We've got new people into real estate,
and people who are wanting to transition. I don't tell you this, but when we put the time frames out for business planning and the times for the session, I get texts almost immediately saying, which session is Cameron? Because I want to be there, because I want to hear those wisdoms, and you try to come to as many as possible to share. But I think that's one of the unique things about our company, that we've got top performers, the top performer in New Zealand willingly sharing everything. I don't know that happens anywhere else.
I think that's the difference with gold, isn't it? They say that success drips from the top, and I think it starts with the ownership team, and then you drips to the managers, and then all the agents, from the top agents through to the new agents. And success leaves clues. We talk about it all the time, but there's a time in the market where you can see the difference. And this is it.
We're seeing it, aren't we? With the volume, the consistency, the recruitment.
We talked about it last time.
Recruitment,
In gold at the moment, we've got wonderful momentum. We've got agents coming towards us, wanting to be part of our culture, wanting to be part of the excitement that's within gold, and they want to grow their businesses inside our business. We're also seeing new agents come to us because they can see that's where they want to be. And we've seen older established agents like me still wanting to forge their businesses and take them to the next level again.
Absolutely.
So it's like-minded people. We call it a tribe, don't we?
We do.
We've got a tribe of people.
Or a family. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
at the moment, agents out there can see the difference because there's a lot of companies and a lot of offices not performing. And in a market that's really tough and challenging, we're performing really well, and people can see that. So results never lie. You can't, it's so easy in real estate to make yourself look like a superstar, even if you're not. And I've got so many examples of people out there in the industry who look like they're busy, but really they're not. And
we're skirting into dangerous territory, aren't we? But it's true. I know.
I'm sick of seeing agents post sold things on their Instagram and on their Facebook that was sold a year ago or 6 months ago, just to make themselves look busy. And they hide behind sales that other people have done and all this sort of stuff. It's easy to make yourself look busy, but when you come to the results,
they speak for themselves.
Top 10, top 20 in Canterbury, You know, all those sort of people that you can't hide behind.
Exactly.
So that's
exactly. Right, we've got some questions. We've got quite a few. I'll put them in the little bowl down there.
Yeah.
Right. You want to go? Are you going first?
I'll choose one for you, eh?
Okay. Well, they might not. It might be one for you. Oh.
Polly.
Oh, me. Oh.
I can imagine you were amazing. You were an amazing nurse when nursing, but must have been some challenging moments.
Oh gosh. Okay. Who asked that? Maria. All right, Maria. Yep. It's been a long time since I've been a nurse, but I have maintained those same disciplines and that integrity that nurses have. And there were some hellish and challenging moments. Hellish and challenging. I think when you're dealing with people when they are incredibly vulnerable in a health situation, and we might talk about it later on, Cam with his dad, yeah, it's bloody tough. But I think the thing I was able to do was help as much as I could and also provide a lot of comfort for families. So it's a part of my background that I'm extremely proud of. Yeah.
Talk to me about the correlation between nursing and real estate, because could you get two different jobs? I mean, are they they seem like so different apart?
They feel very diametrically opposed, don't they? And I think that when I went into real estate, I had nursing friends who were very disappointed. They just thought, "What are you doing? This is shocking. You're leaving a highly regarded, sought after career to go into something that is far from regarded." And I just think the thing that is similar is that care, you know, and empathy. Deeply empathetic as a registered nurse. And also as a real estate professional, I've never lost that. So I was able to bring that, and I think I've been able to insert that into our company ethos. So I think that it's, you know, tenacious, you never give up, you're very disciplined, all of those things. There were some differences when I first came on board. I struggled with how people just really looked after themselves as real estate consultants, you know, like just it was all about the individual consultants, where I'd been very much in a team. But when we bought our company, when we established Harcourts Gold and grew Harcourts Papanui into the phenomenon it is now, I was able to bring that team ethos. So I think there's a lot of similarities.
I think that one of the things that I see that I think about nursing and you is that you put your patients and you put the same as your vendors first. And what that looks like in real estate is giving them the right advice, even if it means not taking an offer, which would give you a sale, or keeping the property or something like that. I mean, trying to give them the right advice and put them first rather than just chasing the commission.
Yeah.
And, you know, the one thing I've seen in 20 years of real estate is agents that chase the commission, they get nowhere. They don't build a business. You know, it's amazing to see that.
It is, isn't it? Or it's just like, that they don't get repeat business, or that their reputation isn't enhanced, or
all of the people. You can do so many things in real estate to protect the commission, and you can make it difficult for other agents to get through the property, and you can do this and do that, and the agents that do that, they just don't grow. Where the agents that are open to working with other people and trying to give their owners the right advice are the ones that you see move forward.
Totally.
So that's what I think is similar to
thank you. Yes, I agree. No, give me that bowl and I'm going to find something. Hopefully it's a question for you. We have got a lot of questions, guys. Oh, this is for Cam, and it's a really good one. Cam, what winds you up and frustrates you most when working with other agents? This is from Sandy.
Good question, actually. A lot of things wind me up, probably.
He's actually easy to wind up, just so you know.
I think one of the things that winds me up is people that think they work really hard and they don't. That sort of winds me up, because I've been working a lot over the last 20 years, too much probably. Treat it like a lifestyle rather than a job, and I get other agents ring me up to get their buyers to send their buyers to an open home because they're away on holiday for the weekend, and that kind of winds me up because I feel like I'm on the coalface working and you're not.
Or they won't come out and do offers. They'll say, "Oh, look, just send it across to them or email it across," rather than actually, getting in their car and going and seeing the person.
Do you know what you can feel? The longer you've been in the industry, you can feel someone that's working for the buyer.
Yeah.
So, as a real estate agent, our fiduciary duty is always towards the vendor to get the best possible price. And I believe the best agents out there make a career of that.
Yeah.
And they're pushing buyers really hard to get the best price. There are agents out there that are just working for themselves, and they're actually working for the buyer to get the cheapest possible price. And sometimes when we're having work-ins, we can feel an agent that's out there just, almost like telling the buyer what to pay, don't pay any more money, do this. Yeah. And when they meet me, they meet a brick wall because, I push back on these agents and I push back on those buyers because I want to sell it for what's a fair price. Yeah. And I can really feel that. So that's something that really winds me. Yeah. What about you? What winds you up about agents? From an ownership and perspective, management point of view.
Yeah. I really struggle with tardy, and to me tardy is, not being punctual, if you've had to do some prep, not doing, absence of care. Yeah. I really struggle with that. I don't really care. I think, well, you're in the wrong place. Go somewhere else where no one cares, because I care deeply. Yeah. I care about our reputation. I care about our clients. I care about, the purchasers we're trying to work for and the vendors we're trying to represent. I care about our community. And I think if you just kind of amble into real estate, just keep walking. Just walk, go right past our door. And that's not a tall poppy kind of thing, or we're better than everybody else. It's just saying we care, and if you don't, go elsewhere. Things that wind me up are properties sold on Thursday and I drive past it on Sunday and there isn't a sold sign up. I almost feel like, hey, I'm going to start carting them in my car and putting them up and going and knocking on your owner's door and saying, hey, I care enough to put one up. So, I don't want to be like some old witch, but to be fair, I want a beautiful job done. This, at its core, when you are paid for representing someone well, you are well paid. There's a huge amount of time and effort and energy and expertise that goes into that, and I don't undervalue that for 1 minute, but I absolutely respect the cost proposition to people that employ us. And so I want the best possible job.
One of the other things that winds me up is a part-time agent. Someone that, because in real estate there's so many agents out there that probably 80% of them are part-time. Is that fair to say?
Well, I think that's heavy. I think that's heavy, but there are certainly people that are absolutely part-time.
What that looks like is
cruising,
start at 10 o'clock in the morning, finish at 3. Yeah. I've seen agents out there who take buyers through open homes and they're wearing Ugg boots and they're wearing, active wear, and I just think we're professionals, know. And that's why real estate agents get tainted badly. Yeah. Like, I was listening to a podcast the other night, and it's Gavin Rubenstein in Sydney, and he's one of the top agents and business owners for Ray White in Australia. He's a real operator. And he talks about a real estate practitioner. Yeah. And I was thinking about that. I was listening to it in the sauna the other night, and I just love that because you can see the difference between an agent and you can see the difference between a practitioner. Yeah. And it's like a builder compared to a carpenter. Yeah. You've got a craft there that you've worked tirelessly on for years,
and you're perfecting it the whole time. You're polishing that. Yeah. You're polishing that beautiful gem. Yeah. No, I
love that, but part-time agents winds me up.
So don't go winding us up. It's not nice. Right. Okay, Cam, this is actually for both of us, but I think I'll just let it be with you. Do you still make mistakes? And if so, how do you overcome it?
Well, I think everyone makes mistakes, don't they? With the best of intentions. I don't purposely make them, but sometimes all with the best intentions, you can give someone the wrong advice. You can actually think that, for example, could be, I think their property is worth more than what we actually sell it for. And you go and appraise a property and say, hey, it's worth 2.2 million, and the market's seen that it should be priced at 1,999. So that's something that can happen. I don't think I purposely do it because I'm trying to give people really comprehensive advice, but that's probably some of the mistakes we can make, all with the best of intentions, and it often happens to your mates.
I know.
And someone that you're trying so hard for, it's often your people that you're trying so hard to get a great price for, and with the best of intentions you say a slightly higher figure and it's just not here. And it makes the whole process a little bit bumpy on the way through. What about you?
Well, I make plenty of mistakes. I try not to make too many professionally because I'm deep thinking. I like to. I've got a really strong compass for what I think the right thing to do is, so I don't take shortcuts. But when I make mistakes, I fall on my sword. So if I make them in a personal way or anything else like that, I try to fall on my sword. I'd rather be transparent and say, shit, completely got that up. Didn't know what I was doing.
And how do you recover?
Well, I guess I like to think that you've built a strong relationship, or that your integrity, and the goodwill account that you've built up around you. Sort of people think, okay, you made a mistake. It wasn't intentional. Okay, we'll give you that one. I wouldn't like repeated mistakes or blunders.
No. I mean, that's the worst mistake you can make, is making it twice.
Don't be repeating.
Yeah.
So that's how I think.
Trying to learn from your mistakes is important. Yeah. We have in our team meeting every Monday morning. So we have a team meeting with everyone, PAs and everyone every Monday at 8:15. So one of the questions we ask ourselves from the previous week is, where have we dropped the ball a little bit, and also where have we really delivered well. So we're trying to learn from our successes and we're trying to learn from our mistakes, because sometimes it's just about, like a system that's not quite right and you can fix it really easily. So, like dealing with them head-on's I think the way, but I love that, own it. You gotta own it. I
fall on the sword.
Yeah. It's the best way to do it.
And to be fair, Cam, I really struggle with people that give you a whole load of bullshit, trying to sort of skirt around it, talking rubbish. You can fire a cannon through it. You think, look, could you just tell the truth? Could you just front up to something? And I just think, I think that when I look at the world too, nobody takes responsibility for anything anymore. But it's an old-fashioned value. Right. We've got time for one more each. Right, we'll see.
This is one for Lynette from Julie. If you ever had to start selling again, how would you do it this time? That's a good one. If you ever had to start selling again, how would you do it this time?
Look, if I was really honest, over the years, now and again, I've thought about it. Because it's so exciting done at a certain level, and it's very fulfilling. So now and again I have sort of thought about it, but if I ever came to sell again, it would be absolutely by choice. So I would like to think that in that occasion I would work with people that really wanted to work with me, and I would absolutely give them my best. I'm not, I just wouldn't be out there wanting to work with a whole masses of people. I just want to work with the good people that wanted to work with me. I would probably, I'd start with some great marketing, saying, hey, I've made a transition. I'd do, like that would include social media and print marketing. I'd be trying to get coalface with folk by doing open homes. I'd probably have a little event with people that I knew to say, hey, come along and see me. I'd look to work in my specialist fields. All of those sorts of things. I'd probably say, Cam, what can you do? Do you want to give me, give me a bit of a hand, give me a start? But it's something that I still think about it even now. It's still got a pull for me, that opportunity to engage with people at that level.
I get this question every week. I get people text it to me from various different
countries,
companies, parts of New Zealand, people that are about to start real estate, asking me. I got one the other day, I'm just about to start real estate, what should I be doing? Couple of tips here. I think even the established real estate agents like me, we should be asking ourselves that every year, because your business can change so much, and maybe it needs to go in a different direction, or maybe you should be doing some different things. So it's a wonderful question to ask yourself. I think it all starts with the people you've got around you. you know, it starts probably with identifying who you want to be.
Yeah.
You know, do you want to be Cameron Bailey, or do you want to be, you know, just someone that, you know, talks around the photocopier and drinks tea and coffee at the office and does one sale a month? I mean, identify who you want to be and look to who you can chase.
Yeah.
There's that great speech that Matthew McConaughey does about you've got to look to someone to chase. I think that's a really exciting speech. It's worth looking up, but it all starts with the right people, because what we see within Gold is that because our results are so impressive that people come to us from other companies and they suddenly, it blows their mind. You know, I met with someone the other day and they were talking about, you know, what they wanted to earn and, you know, the sales numbers that they wanted to do, and they sit down with me and I can talk to them about some of the ones that I do, and you just see their mind boggling, and it's great because it becomes normal. Yeah. You know, and we've talked about that
high
before.
Performance. We normalise high performance.
We've talked about that before, and it gets the best out of everyone. You know, we've talked about Lydia coming from another company and thinking that 1 or 2 auctions a month was a stretch, and you know now she's doing 3 or 5 a week or whatever she's doing. So you know, like normalising high performance is the key.
Helping people walk towards pressure, leaning into those difficult things rather than being afraid, all of that sort of stuff.
So learn from the best people. You know, if you want to be the best, you've got to learn from the best. You can't stay. Do you know what we've got in the market as well? We've got a lot of lone rangers. And what I mean by that is people that think they can sit in their own little office and be successful. And maybe they can, but I tell you what, if they were in the right environment and the right culture, they'd be so much better. And we've got, I mean, I see them out there in the industry, agents that are really great agents, but they're not here. They're probably happy, maybe they're happy with where they are, but I think that deep down a lot of them aren't. And they want more, but they just don't know how to get it. And that's because they haven't got the right people around them. We see that all the time, don't we? And are they too scared to be around the right people? I mean, where does that come from?
I mean, I think that's a really interesting thing, because we have had one of the things when people come to us from different companies, especially, they go, I was always afraid because I've told that you just are relentless, you drive people, you know, you don't give them any space, you're really ruthless. And I always find that kind of like a little bit shocking, because I think, well, if we were that ruthless, if we were that bad,
no one would say
no one would work with us. You know, if you're that much of a mongrel, people would think, well, bugger them. And yet it's the reverse. So I think it's just something that perhaps, you know, companies that aren't as good at developing people just use it because they're fearful that if the people actually work out what the hell we're doing and how successful it is, that, you know, they wouldn't have folk with them.
It's been a little bit brave, isn't it?
It is being brave. We talk about that courage, having some courage. And look at all the people that have called us and said, hey, we want to just talk about business ownership, or we want to talk about becoming a manager, we want to talk about joining. And then it's like as easy as ringing us up.
I bumped into, funnily enough, an old client from a few years ago, and she's gone into business for herself, not real estate, something totally different. And she watches these videos and she watches a few other things with me on it, and she came up to me and she said, I'd love to sit down with you guys for a coffee. And people can see that how the things that we do in real estate and the way that you run the business can correlate into all different parts of your life. And not just business, it's, you know, relationship and family and all that sort of stuff.
Travel.
So there's just so much to learn by having the right people around you. And I'm an example of having huge success and working lots and earning the money. You still cannot be happy and fulfilled. So, you know, like, you can't just put all your energy into one basket. You've got to be able to find some balance of some sort, because...
And I think that's where I've been able to come in. You know, success, you know, we've enjoyed extraordinary success, but still happily married, kids that love you, a loving family, great mates. It can be done.
Do you know what I heard the other day? And I was another podcast, I listen to a lot of podcasts. There's certain agents out there and certain people in real estate who get to a level where they transition from agents to advisors. And that's probably something that I've seen you do over the last few years. And not just real estate advisor, because you've been doing that for years now, but like an advisor on life. And I think I'm also a little bit privileged in that, because through the sales of doing so many other sales for people, you get to learn their journey.
Yeah.
You know, you get to learn their investment journey, what properties they've bought, what properties they sold, why they're buying them, why they're selling them. You know, what mistakes they've made in relationships, they're breaking up, they're doing this. There's so much to be learned from real estate, you know, but, you know, surround yourself by advisors rather than agents. And so many people, so many companies are just got agents in there, and they do. We met someone the other day, didn't they? And they were doing their business planning with another company.
Yeah.
And all their business planning was about how many auctions you're going to do and how much money you're going to make and numbers. And I just...
Whereas ours was about, you know, how can you bring some joy into your life, and what gives you, you know, what your sort of 5-year big goal is, and what's 100 to you? Is it taking your family, you know, somewhere overseas, or is it, you know, is it putting your grandchildren through a different school? And it's all of those sort of things that, you know, really are at the heart of it.
We're a lot more holistic, aren't we? If we get the big picture right, the business and the results will come.
Yeah, who wouldn't move forward if they had the right goal? You know, and sometimes it takes somebody else to help open that story up. Yeah, no, I agree. Kim, we've got a new director, just so you know. So that is really, really special. We're getting a bit of a wind up. Can we come back here next time?
Yep. It's not the one the McFadden mentioned.
Oh, bugger off.
It's an old character house.
It's a beautiful home. It's so lovely. And I'll get him to let us have this in another room so you guys can all get just a little bit of a look and a sense of things. But Cam,
we might go into my whiskey room next time.
We're going in the whiskey room.
Pool room.
I might even have one.
She's got a wellness centre out the back there. So I've got a sauna and a cold plunge and a hyperbaric chamber. And I know you're into wellness at the moment, so you and John are getting a new wellness centre at McFadden Mansion.
We are, but we won't be talking about that. We'll see. We'll share that with you. But Cam, it's such a pleasure.
Yeah. Hey, keep the questions rolling in. We love the questions. We're getting some really interesting ones. They don't just have to be about real estate. It can be about anything. Well, not everything.
Not everything.
It'll be exciting.
But we will see you. We will see you probably later in May or early June. Bye now.